Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A happy Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout, which is presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. We are live on Edmonton Sports Talk, iHeartRadio, tune in, EdmontonSportsTalk.com with the EST Hangout. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here. And joining us, very excited to have Craig MacTavish in studio. Craig, thanks for coming by and joining us today. It's
you're welcome.
Pleasure to have you here today. And Shawn Belle's supposed to join us.
Terwilliger's a little icy,
but he's late.
Yeah.
I remember Shawn was late a lot when he played, too.
He's not even here to defend himself.
Well, don't be late.
Yeah, he was, it's everybody's late once in a while. But I used to always give before I started the year, when I was delivering a little message to the players, there are two types of people that are chronically late. There's dumb guys that can't map out the time to get there,
Yeah.
and, the traffic and factor all that stuff in. And then there's prima donnas. And neither one of those is a great characterization of anybody. So everybody's late once in a while, but don't be a dumb guy or a prima donna. And I remember I was at the Spengler Cup, and Alexander Daig was there. So I gave the guys the same story. First day at practice, Daig's late. And, I lose it on him a bit. And he comes, then after he comes in and he says, "Hey, Craig, sorry I was late, but, if I had to choose between being a dumb guy and a prima donna, I'm going to take prima donna."
Not Alexander Daig.
So that was pretty funny. He kind of broke the ice there. But, Belsey is neither dumb nor prima donna, but... it'll be interesting to see why he was late this morning.
Oh,
he's going to use the weather as an excuse.
He probably will. Well, I'm sure he's going to defend himself. Is that him?
Hey, look, we all had to take the same roads. Not the exact same, but we had to take roads.
We're downtown.
But we had to drive.
Yeah.
We all had to. We all made it. We figured it out. Shawn couldn't.
Oh, are you piling on?
Of course.
Poor Belsey.
Of course.
Poor Belsey.
He's listening right now, be like, I'm going to get my revenge when he gets in here.
That's partly what you get when you're not here in time. Is that we've even left? I've even left right now the camera on this empty chair that was supposed to be Shawn, not zoomed it in tighter on us because now people need to know that Shawn's not here.
He subjected himself to this whole story.
Exactly. Okay, that's a fair point. There was the one day Joaquin was late for his regularly scheduled Thursday appearance on the Hangout, and we just put his mask in the seat until he got here. We have his old mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Gager.
Yeah. He's a great guy. We love him.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Hasn't had too many bad days, Gager. No. He's
How was he as a player when you coached him?
I don't remember him too much. I don't think I had him for too long, but he was a talented goalie.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know why he couldn't sustain it, but he was talented. Even today, when he gets in the net and plays at the Alzheimer's and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I mean, he's hard to beat. I mean, he's a real athletic guy. But I did a roast for Gager.
I remember that
a few years ago, and I had to research whether did I play with this guy or did I coach him.
Well, you got Taran Sandwith pretty good too. Poor Sandy who remembered a story and he told it and he was referencing something you said as his coach, and then you're like, I don't know if I coached you.
Yeah, I didn't much. I was with him the other night again, Taran, and we were kind of going over it. He came back into the organization when I coached, and he came back with a guy by the name of Scott Ferguson. They went to the American Hockey League, and Fergie ended up coming up and playing quite a while for us as a real good, bottom pairing depth defenseman.
I remember Scott Ferguson. Turan's a beauty, though. Anyway, I remember that. I remember that
beauty.
roast of Joaquin Gage too. We're laughing. It was a good night. I can't remember. I think it was Dusty hosted that one, and then Gregor did the roast of Kevin Lowe the year after. But I remember looking at you, and all the roasters are doing their thing, and you were in the second wave of roasters, and you're watching the video. I think it was Terry Ryan's video, and I looked at you, and you're kind of like, what the? You could tell you got that look on your face, like, what's going on right now? And I said, Mac, are you ready for this? And you're like, Tommy, what did I get myself into?
Well, it was
and then you were way too
R-rated.
Kind. Yeah.
R-rated.
Well, that's a roast. It's got to be R-rated, you know?
I was like, wow. And I was sitting beside Kathleen McGee. Remember her? She was on. She was funny. Her and I were having a conversation, kind of sidebar, and I was like, wow, I can't wait to hear what's coming out of her mouth when she gets up there. And it was pretty funny. She was really good, and a great lady. A lot of fun.
Yeah, she is actually hilarious, but like no holds bar.
No holds bar. Yeah. Terry Ryan went at Kevin pretty well. It was, what am I doing up here roasting Kevin Lowe? Do you not have any more friends? I don't barely even know you.
I kind of felt like Joaquin was one thing, but Kevin, I was like, oh, I don't know how he's going to take this, but he seemed to be all right with it, wasn't he?
The only way you could get Kevin to agree to do that is his son-in-law was Sports Central. He was head of Sports Central, so his son-in-law. And the only way you could get me back was if Kevin asked me. So I had to go back, but I think I'm retiring from the roasting business.
Oh, that's too bad.
Mac was way too nice. Way too. I think you're a little more vicious in the second one, but the first one, I'm like, way too nice. But yeah. Anyway.
No, the first one was funny though.
Yes,
it was Gager
good.
was. I mean, Kevin's such a. He's got, as I said that night, like he's got way more material on me than I have on him, so I got to be careful. But he's such a pillar in the community and a great person. It's hard to get too negative with Kevin, but Gager.
No, that guy.
Yeah.
What has he done for the community?
We take out our first string goalie, Tommy Salo, and start working on high slot deflections and one-timers. And, what I say about his wife, Megan, was saying, she said to him, I don't care how much it hurts, honey. They're paying us $400,000 for this. It was pretty funny.
Oh, and Gage's the guy that just, he'll smile, he'll laugh, he'll take it.
Yeah. He knows.
He just posted it's from like a year ago or something with his insurance company that he works with. They did a little commercial where he's in net, but he keeps getting lit up and he acts as this like full prima donna. It's hilarious.
Yeah. I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I'll have to repost it and stuff for people out there. Like he played it so I was dying laughing in the office when I was playing it just because he's that good of a dude.
Yeah, he is. He's great. He coaches one of the teams. We have a little tournament for 9-year-olds in the summer.
Oh, yeah?
At West Edmonton Mall, and I have an NHL guy coach one of 5 teams. And so Gager has coached the last couple of years. And the first year, I take the best kid because it's my tournament, and I win. And
shocking.
So the second year, I go, I'll give Bucky the best kid. And those kids go on to play for the Brick the next year. The kid was Whalen was really good last year too as well. And so normally the coach that gets the best kid wins. And so Bucky got the best kid last year and he won. Charlie Huddy coached the team too. But this year we're going to give Gager the best kid. So we'll see. And
Pressure on Gage.
Gager coaches with my son Shawn. And they have a few laughs, but this year Gager's been beat up a little bit in the first 2 years.
Hey, was it Keith Gretzky or Laddie Schmid that got tossed out of that one? Was it last year?
Yeah, no. Keith coached too a team, Keith Gretzky, and Laddie was there. But no, Laddie didn't get kicked out of that. But there were some complaints. But the Czechs, I mean, that's their culture.
Yeah.
Like, remember Frankie Musil used to hang over the glass and yell at David and Adam, when they were just young kids, and he got asked to leave the arena. But it's kind of at least certainly was the old school Czech way of parenting.
Lots of yelling.
And they're wonderful kids, so, maybe it worked.
Okay, before Belsey gets here, okay, you golfed with Tiger Woods. You said that before we jumped on the air.
Yeah.
Well, what was it like golfing with Tiger?
Oh, it was a fantastic experience. We were in Vegas, and Wayne Gretzky set it up, and Kevin Lowe was there. We used to go to Vegas every year, Kevin and I and a couple other guys, lifelong buddies of mine. And so Gretz said, you guys want to come and play golf with Tiger? And yeah, we'd love to. So we went out to Rio Seco in Vegas and met Tiger when he was working with then coach Butch Harmon. Mm-hmm. And so they were working out of a makeshift garage there where they hit balls and film Tiger and stuff like that. And Butch gives them instruction. But Butch was a real funny guy too as well. And he was showing us outtakes of some of the lessons, more comedic lessons that he's had out in at Rio Seco. And then we played golf with Tiger. And the first tee, Kevin, who can hit the ball a long way, and is a lefty, pounded it, and Tiger gets up and he hits it, and so Kevin and I get in the cart, and Kevin's going, I think I hit one by Tiger. He says, I go, what? So we get out there, and of course Tiger was about 40 yards ahead of him, but he really... And the thing that stands out to me about him was just how well he could see the ball. Like, I mean, I wasn't surprised at how well he hit it, but man, he hits it 350 yards, and he's going, go left a little, go, what? I mean, but I think it's common that great athletes have incredible eyesight.
Yes.
And Ryan Smith had unbelievable eyesight. Talk about a ball hawk. I mean, golfing with Ryan Smith, he could see everything too. Huh. But Tiger, I mean, I couldn't believe how well he saw the ball.
Mac, I mean, you get to golf with Tiger once, which is amazing. But are there correlations between like the greatest outside of eyesight, like the way they approach their respective game? Like, obviously you played with Wayne, you played with Mark. Are there things that are kind of that permeate between sports that all these like the best of the best have?
I think so. I mean, you look at McDavid too. I mean, it's a God-given gift. You can't train that.
Yeah.
To that level, but I mean, Tiger he started. I remember Sports Illustrated had that section at the end, Faces in the Crowd. Mm-hmm. You guys are maybe too young to remember that, but they had
maybe
they had every issue, and Tiger was in Faces in the Crowd at about 4 years old for shooting an unbelievable round of golf. Obviously, his dad was instrumental, as Wally was too. So I think you have to have the support from your parents for sure, and then the God-given talent. But I remember it was so cold out that day that we only really played 9 holes, and it was packed out there. So we're going from Tiger's impatient. That's maybe another quality that great athletes have. And so we're passing people and going to another hole, and just the look on people's faces as Tiger and Gretz blow by him in a golf cart. It was pretty.
Yeah, what a
amazing.
golf cart!
That's a 1-2 punch. And I think that's Craig MacTavish behind them, and that might be Kevin Lowe, is what they were saying.
Well,
in Vegas, right?
I mean, Kevin and I definitely had more fun than the other guy. We didn't play as good a golf, but we had a lot of fun.
That would have been cool. Butch Harmon, I just watched the episode with Ricky Fowler of, there he is. Hey.
Oh.
Prima donna or really dumb guy.
Yeah.
Look who finally showed up.
Shawn
Belle is now here.
Yeah.
Hi, Maddie.
Did you miss the first 15 minutes? Were you listening on your way in?
No, I wasn't even listening.
Oh, that's
I was
good.
too busy looking in the rearview mirror so I wouldn't get run over.
Well, that's okay.
Shawn Belle.
We
It's not
pounded
Jonas
on
now.
you a little bit, Bellsy.
Did you?
Yeah.
For being late.
Yeah.
Is it late
Yes.
when the road is so bad that I couldn't do anything?
It's
Yeah.
9:22
You
and we
gotta-
started at
I
9.
left early too.
Yeah.
Is it late?
So did we.
He lives downtown, 2 minutes
all
from here.
do.
You all live downtown?
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah,
It
see,
doesn't-
like I live in the dirty south.
Yeah, so you had a plan to leave even earlier.
I did.
Even earlier, clearly.
Well, how early do you want me to leave?
So you're here on time.
About 25 minutes earlier, Bellsy.
Is this what you would have
fair.
told the coach if you came in late?
No.
Well, what could I have
what I
done?
would have done, what I would have snuck in the back door, I would have got undressed, I would have got into my gitch, and then I would act like I was in the bathroom. And he knows that that's happened before for sure.
Two things. There's two qualities people that are chronically late.
Yeah, you either got to hide it or just admit it.
Dumb guys or prima donnas.
100%. So
Well,
good.
good to see you, Bellsy.
Yeah, great
Good to
seeing
see you,
guys.
Bellsy.
Yeah.
I'm safe. I'm alive. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, it was a little iffy out there, right? It was slippery.
Oh,
Roads were
it was
icy.
really good. It was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a guy reading a book behind me. He was tailing me pretty hard reading the book. I don't think he paid attention to the road.
What book? You know?
Nope.
Yeah.
I was watching him. I was like, oh, man, please don't hit me.
Brilliant.
But yeah, here we are.
We were talking about Mac when he golfed with Tiger Woods.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How was it?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. He was interested in contracts. How do the contracts work in the NHL? And I was telling him about the concept of two-way contracts, which Bellsy knows.
Yeah, those are crazy.
You get so much here and so much there. But yeah, he was pretty interested, and it was before his fall from grace, and then he's obviously built himself back up, and had an amazing weekend at the Masters. But yeah, it was interesting.
Were you nervous at all during your first shot with him?
Well, I
Or does it
was a
matter?
little bit
Yeah.
because it was like our third day in Vegas, so we were a little fatigued, but we got through it, had some fun.
What do you usually shoot?
I'm probably about a 12 handicap.
That's pretty nice.
That's not bad.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Do you golf?
So Tiger's got to give me 20. But somebody was telling me a story the other day. I can't remember who it was about. He was talking to another PGA Tour golfer. Remember the blonde-haired guy that had a bit of a mullet? He shaved it off.
Cam Smith?
He's still, before that, he's still playing today, but he was, it'll come to me, but he was saying that, all golfers at our level or his level, and he's won PGA tournaments before.
Not Duffner.
No.
Okay.
No. I saw him in Palm Springs once at the Reserve. He was there, but I'm getting older and I'm getting more forgetful. But he was saying that, every golfer has, normally 6 good weeks where you're on your game. And you just have to hope that during those 6 weeks, Tiger's not in the field.
Oh, man.
Because if he's in the field, you're not winning. And that type of, Scheffler, you're seeing
It's
that
kinda like
level
that right
of
now.
dominance now, but can he keep it there for 20 years? But he to me, he's at that level right now. That
Yeah.
He's hard to beat. But back in the day, you just couldn't beat this guy. Didn't he make like 100 and some cuts in a row?
Something crazy like that.
Something crazy with that. He was the world number one for a ridiculous long period of time that no one, I don't think, is ever going to touch that one. Like, it's just how
From like 98 to
what we
like
could find.
2008, where everything happened with his ex-wife, and that was a whole mess in itself. Like, you just knew he was going to be in one of the last 2 pairings basically every weekend. And every major, he was right there too. Like, it was just...
And the people he would be paired with in that final one would always crumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the pressure like of him knowing like he's just going to be almost perfect. Like I've got to try to be perfect, and they would just disintegrate.
I don't think he ever lost going into a Sunday with the lead, or something that was a ridiculous stat too. Where if he was in that final pairing, he'd go out and he'd win that next day. The boys 142 straight cuts.
The boys 142 Sunday red, and they would just nope. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, Tony Finau, I mean, he played with that amateur this year in the final round, remember?
Right.
And he was more conversational with this guy. And Tony Finau said, I played with him when I was the amateur at the Masters. And, I asked him how his family was, and he just said, good. And that's the last he ever talked to him for 18 holes. Just eviscerated him with a golf club.
Well, he completely changed. Before he wasn't friendly on the golf course. No one ever. He wasn't friends with anyone. And since over the last few years, he's I think kind of realized he's the
softened a bit.
Softened. He's the statesman. He's the guy that everyone's looking to, and everyone's talking with him, and he's having fun with the guys on the golf course. And
sees kid out there all the time.
He's having some chats, but no one would ever probably think of wanting to chat with him longer on a golf course because he never would give you the time of the day.
He's too focused,
and the results were there.
Totally.
It was just that was incredible to watch.
But yeah, he had the ability, as Nicholas did, to keep his game together even when he didn't have his best stuff. They could just mentally grind it out. I remember listening to Nicholas say, I go to the driving range before I play, and I just go with whatever I have. Whether I'm drawing the ball or fading the ball, I'm going to play that.
Isn't that crazy?
That day. Yeah. I mean... But we've all been there, you go to the range, you got something different every day, and a lot of dumb guys like me try and fight it.
Same.
Or you have the slice and you start playing your slice, and then all of a sudden you hit it straight and it's right into the bushes. You're like, geez.
That is me.
Well,
you never know what you're gonna get.
Super far.
Long and right.
Yeah.
Just what a hook. Yeah, and then that one time you hit it straight,
it's gone, and you're like, well, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, it's not good. It really hurts your golf game, like you just...
The confidence is all gone.
Yeah. I never had confidence on the golf course anyway, so that's why I just try to drink my woes.
You don't play a lot of golf, though, do you?
Not as much as I want to.
Yeah. You got
not as much. Yeah, I'm pretty busy in the summers.
Responsibilities, jobs, and hockey camps, and kids, and...
Way too much stuff going on now.
Yeah.
So
once you get to my age, you can play a little bit more golf.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Yeah. Sounds really nice.
Mac, we got a text that came in asking for you to talk about the brawl. I think it's was it not Terry O'Reilly, but was it Mike Milbury that grabbed the shoe? Were you in that game?
Yeah.
Pro-Am Barry's asking if you can recount your memory of that one. I remember seeing the highlights in the shoe.
How did beaten by your own shoe? That's just so emasculating.
Well, yeah, but
it's got to be the most embarrassing thing.
How did that go sideways? Where was that?
Well, it was at Madison Square Garden.
Oh,
and it was an unbelievable game between the Bruins and the Rangers. And Phil Esposito was on the Rangers, and the Bruins were up by a goal late in the game, and Al Secord was on the Bruins, and. Remember the Swedes, Ulf Nielsen, Anders Hedberg?
Oh, the guys that used to be with the Jets?
Yeah.
Like in the WHA?
Yeah.
Okay,
they were playing for the Rangers, and Secord was abusing them. Al Secord was a tough guy back. He still is. I saw him in Dallas a month ago, so he's still a bit scary. But so Phil Esposito had a breakaway on Jerry Cheevers right in the last 30 seconds of the game to tie it. And Jerry Cheevers made a save, and then the buzzer went, and John Davidson was in the net for the Rangers, and he skated all the way down to the Bruins' end and was giving it to Al Secord, kind of standing up for the abuse that he was directing at the Swedes. And I saw this guy walk down the seats. And that was back in the days where the glass was not as high.
Right.
I mean, they raised the elevation of the glass because of this. And this guy leaned over the glass and suckered Stan Jonathan as hard as he could. And, I mean, I thought Stan's going to kill him. And he really didn't do anything. Like, Stan just kind of, he wasn't going to respond to it.
Wow.
And then Terry O'Reilly, I saw him skate by, and he scaled the glass in about 2 seconds, and he was in the stands after this guy. And then everybody went up there. So there was Brad McCrimmon was there, and Mike Milbury, myself, Peter McNabb. And I saw the guy that did it.
Yeah.
So I kind of had him down between the seats, and I gave him a couple shots.
Sure.
But nothing that was going to really hurt him. But Mike Milbury had another guy and then grabbed his shoe and started pounding him in the head with the shoe. And so those guys got suspended. I got a fine. And, there was a picture on the Boston Herald the next day where the journalist came down and wanted to take a picture, and we're all pretty naive.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, the organization was too, because they let it happen and wanted us to have a picture, and but we couldn't smile or anything. So it was like mugshots, and that was on the. So we played the Islanders that year in the playoffs. That was the first year the Islanders won their Stanley Cup, but Boston finished ahead of them. Boston won the President's Trophy then. And one of the guys, there were a couple brothers that were responsible for the altercation. They came to Long Island to serve papers to some of the players because they were suing the players. And Harry Stinden at that point was the coach of the team. He had fired Fred Creighton, and Harry Stinden was the coach of the team. And we stopped the bus, and we're getting on the bus, and this guy approaches Harry Stinden and says, "I've got papers to serve Terry O'Reilly and Mike Milbury." And Harry just said, "Yeah, go ahead, go on that bus and serve those papers if you want."
Good luck.
Yeah,
No kidding.
So he thought better of it, and but I don't think anything other than that really occurred. But it was really that guy that incited the whole thing, and John Davidson, who skated down and started. It looked like it was going to be a bit of a brawl.
Damn.
Until and then getting out of there. I mean, you can imagine the Ranger fans were
going down that ramp
to the bus and
that exit. Yeah,
getting out of there. There were all kinds of fans around. It was a bit scary, but I mean, a memory for sure.
And that's New York in the 70s. Like, it was rough back then too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was New York in 79, 80.
Yeah. Because it's
the 79, 80 season.
How much pride do you got to lose to pick a fight, get beat up with your own shoe?
That's the best part.
And then go out and try to sue that same guy.
Yeah.
Like, oof, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So, Mac, I've been meaning to ask you this stuff for a long time. So, obviously, we've known each other for quite some time. And the players that you had here in Edmonton, Larocque, Pisani, all those guys, I know them because I would skate with them. I'm a little bit younger than those guys. And the one story that I keep hearing that keeps getting regurgitated was that you had to consistently make guys weigh in, but George's was too heavy for the scale that you guys used. So he had to go get weighed on in the meat locker.
I think that's false.
Thank God. Because I was like, whoa, that's not good. There's a couple boys that would tell me that story all the time, and I'm like,
yeah,
that sounds interesting.
He always battled with his weight.
Yeah.
And we held him pretty accountable to that. I remember one time I said, I mean, you can't play if you exceed this weight. And I remember one morning skate, he came in and he was over, and we sent him home. And I mean, that he did a lot of great things for us. So yeah. I mean, but he got the point then, and but he was a good player for us. And I always marveled because I've played with a lot of tough guys over the years and coached a lot of tough guys, but most guys, like when he dropped the gloves, his heartbeat never got above 60.
Yeah.
He just looked at you like he was going to destroy you. And it was, I'm sure, terrifying to the person that he was fighting. Dave Brown was another guy that really, I don't think he got too nervous about dropping the gloves, but
Which is interesting because if you ask George, and once again, me and George have been buddies for a long time, he used to say like in his first couple of years he'd be terrified, and I'm like, you were terrified in those fights? He's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because he sure didn't show it.
He didn't show it at all, but he was like his first couple of years for sure. He was like, yeah, I was terrified, like fighting Proberts of the world and Tony Twists, and he's like, yeah, I was very, very scared and I didn't want to do it, but I started to overcome that. I'm like, wow, for a guy that is saying that, wow, like you didn't look like that at all.
No, he was a real honorable guy too out there. He wasn't a dirty guy.
Yep.
I mean, we were always having the conversation to try and, when the other team's tougher guys would be taking runs at Hork or Doug Wade or whatever.
Yeah, trying to get him going a little bit more.
Yeah, trying to get him, but it just wasn't his nature. Yeah. And he was like, hey, Mac, I can't do that.
The only time he got really upset was with Brant Myers in exhibition.
That's the one that basically ended Brant's career, right?
Yeah.
I was watching that one last week.
Because we all skated together, and so I knew Brant as well. And so I think Brant came out recently and started talking about how one of the journalists here in the city basically put an article saying that Brant was coming for George. And then George saw it and was pissed off. And then in exhibition, I think he started certain line, kind of went through the cycle. The next shift, they're out together. And then he caught him, and he's like, I picked him back up and hit him again. I'm like, oof.
There's video of it.
Yeah.
Hockey Fights has it.
Yeah, that was the only time George
I wonder
ever told
who the
me.
journalist was, but I seem to remember the story.
Yeah.
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 But
the only time that he really truly got like excited or animated, and it didn't end very well for Brant, but tough.
Mac, yesterday, it's not really like tough guy related, but just like going back to those days, I finally finished the Marc Messier book. I think I told you about it like a year ago, and you asking me how it was, and I was like, I'm struggling through it. So I finished it yesterday, and he was talking about those 90s teams and how good they could have been with the Rangers, and you won it with the Rangers. Like, were they really that good, or did they just kind of get, not lucky the year you guys won it, but it all kind of came together, and then Mike Keenan left, and he said there was like a contract brief where his bonus was due the next day, or it was a day late, and he said he was done because it was a breach of contract.
Mike?
Yeah, like there's all these things that Mark talked about in the book, and I was like, why didn't the Rangers get better? Because I know the lockout happened in 94, 95, then they signed Wayne in 96, but like I always wondered about those Rangers teams and why they couldn't sustain that, really.
Well, Legion of Doom was one reason.
Well, and you went to Philly after that, too.
That was...
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Philly... Bob Clark made that trade where he traded Mark Recchi to Montreal and got John LeClair and Eric Desjardins, who was an unbelievable defenseman.
I remember him, yeah.
And the team just took off, and Lindros, LeClair, and then Renberg was on the right side of that line. They were a handful. And, Eric was a decent matchup to Mark because Mark would always overpower whoever he was playing against. And, of course... couldn't do that with Eric because Eric was much bigger and definitely as strong as Mark. But I mean that was one of the reasons they couldn't. Mike, I think Keenan, he ended up running the whole operation in St. Louis, and Mike. I mean, Mike was had a lot of success as a coach, but. I mean, he was a bit of a mercenary too. I mean, there were a lot of times he was getting paid by 2 or 3 teams, and but I like Mike a lot, and away from the game, at the game during the games, and I mean, he could run a great practice too. I mean, he was good in that respect, but he went through. The Scotty Bowman School of Coaching. And, I mean, that's the way he was taught how you maximize performance from players in the group. And you do it by intimidation and I mean, there's no arguing with his record, but I think he saw, and at that point, he and Neil Smith were
apparently
they weren't on the same page, but so he ended up in St. Louis, and I signed in Philly after we won the Cup in New York, because I saw. It's not that I dislike Mike, but I saw Greg Gilbert, Eddie Olchuk, those guys. I mean, they were on the fifth line, and they were completely out of the realm of any thought of putting him in the lineup. And I didn't want to be in that position, and I was approaching that stage of my career. So I ran from Mike at that point to Philly, and then a year and a half after I was in Philly, Mike traded for me to get me back to St. Louis.
Damn.
St. Louis, yeah, because he traded he basically went after the whole Oilers team, more or less, right?
He got Charlie Huddy and Gretz.
Because wasn't that year the year that maybe the most trades from a team in one single season?
St. Louis that year?
Yeah.
And he traded Brendan Shanahan too.
Yeah, because I just saw... I think I just watched a documentary of it or whatever that was, but I rewatched it and I was like, oh man, that was crazy. Because that was the same year that iconic Yzerman goal, right? That slap shot from the blue. But,
triple overtime.
96.
But St. Louis, they started off with a certain team, and obviously you can share way more on that, but they started off with their original team. He made a bunch of trades, and then right at the deadline, he basically traded half his team away and brought in all you guys more or less, and then went on that run and then lost in triple OT.
That's right, yeah. And that was the year that Nick Kyprios went into Furzy.
Yeah.
And then John Casey took over. But yeah, I look back at that time as being one of my favorite times in hockey, because there was Gretz, Charlie Huddy, myself, Glennie Anderson.
Yeah.
And we all got there close to the deadline. I mean, I was a little bit before that. And we all stayed at, Gretz had a suite at the Ritz-Carlton in Clayton. And we were somewhere else, and Gretz went to Mike. He said, hey, let's bring these guys, let's all stay together. And Keenan was like, whatever, we're millions over budget anyway. So we all went and stayed at the Ritz, and we had young families then, and our wives were not with us, and so we went out of the game the way we went into it.
That's awesome.
And so we'd go back to the Ritz after the games and hang out there a little bit. And I remember one time that Mike was going around the dressing room, and then he stopped and he was giving Wayne shit. And I'm thinking, this might not go too well. And so he's going in, Gretz, when's the last time anybody gave you shit? And went on to say a few more things. And Gretz, being as witty as he is, turned to me and said, actually, Janet this morning. And he was, but then I knew Wayne was out. So Wayne was gone. So we went back to the Ritz and we're having a bite to eat. And then Wayne gets up and he's going, I'm leaving. I go, we're all going, where are you going? He's going, well, he's coming here tonight. Well, what are you talking about? Well, Mike's going to come here today. So it was an afternoon game. And so it was around dinner time, and I'm standing outside, and Mike's walking into the Ritz-Carlton. And Mike's like, where is he? Jeez. Up in his room, Mike. So he went up there for a bit of damage control. But then after the season ended, Wayne, we had a nice time and night, but the team met a day or two later, and Wayne was gone. And you knew he wasn't coming back after, not that Wayne never got shit. He did occasionally in Edmonton too as well. Glenn, he did it once in a while to he and Mark, but not too often.
Yeah.
The amount of Oilers connections on this team is ridiculous, as you know, Mac. Okay, so Anderson, Corson, Jeff Courtnall, Donald Dufresne of all people, Dallas Aikens, Grant Fuhr, Wayne, amazing Dale Hawerchuk was on that team.
That's who I got traded for.
Jeez. Charlie Huddy. What else do we have here? Igor Kravchuk was on the team.
Yeah.
You, obviously. Jeff Norton, who played for the Oilers. Chris Pronger. And then Ken Sutton, I think, spent some time with the Oilers. Esa Tikkanen. Man, like that's just Oiler. Future Oiler. So
yeah, well, he had success with the Oilers in '94, so he was trying to, and we were pretty close. I mean, Detroit had an unbelievable season.
Yeah.
And we had a chance. We were up 3-2 going back to St. Louis, and they beat us in St. Louis. And then that iconic Yzerman goal put us out in Game 7 in triple overtime.
If Grant didn't get hurt, you guys win?
No, I wouldn't say that, because John Casey played really good.
Yeah,
I mean, he surprised everybody. He went in there and he really played well. And it would really be a disservice to the way that he played to say that we would have won with Grant, because he was excellent.
Because would have that been the start of kind of the Detroit dynasty? Like right at the early beginnings of it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a couple years they were a really good team. But, they were loaded there for years with, I mean, it was all, they thought it was a cultural thing that, you put players in the minors and you overbake them there, you make sure they're ready, but it's an easy philosophy to follow when you're so loaded that nobody can make your team.
Yeah.
And you're drafting late, and you've got, Zetterberg, Datsuk, Lidstrom, and great role players and great characters, and they probably should have won more than they did. They were that dominant. We go in there, and I mean, it was like they'd outshoot you 20-2 in the first period, and outscore you. They'd score more goals than you had shots. Like, they were just that dominant that you would think that And
it wouldn't matter who was out there. Like, they would beat you in any way. So if it wasn't like the top line scoring, then it was a grind line.
Holmstrom,
just like Holmstrom. Like I still
Maltby,
remember
Draper, McCarthy,
Lindstrom walking the blue line was like absolutely unbelievable. Like I'm battling with Holmstrom in front of the net, and Lindstrom's like looking me in the eyes. And he's like, "Okay, which way are you gonna go, buddy? You can go to the left. Okay, well I'm gonna shoot right. You go to the right. I'm gonna shoot left."
Yeah,
I'm just like, you can't stop him. And then you got Holmstrom that's just basically taking all of your energy, and then he's just going to tip the puck in, or he's going to bat it home. Like they were just unbelievable, those guys.
Sounds like fun.
And they had those lively boards off the back. Remember? They'd shoot it off the backboard.
And shoot right out, and then Holmstrom's just there tapping it in, and Franson's around, and like just... Yeah, great memory.
He was so good, eh? That Lidstrom. Man, that guy was... He never touched anybody, but he didn't have to. He'd just take the puck from you.
The other guy that was like that too was Zubov.
Yeah.
I remember Zuby when I was in Dallas. I've never seen a guy that could just like hold a puck, fake with his eyes, or like give you just a shoulder drop, and guys would skate away. And you're like, I'm going to try the same thing. Oh, 15th row of the building. It's like, wait a second. Like, how did you do that? And he was like just so patient with the puck. Lindstrom was so patient with the puck, and they could beat you by just like being more patient than you, right? Because at that time, like forechecking was, like you forecheck hard and you're getting hit as a defenseman. Yeah. But for whatever reason, those two guys, it was, okay, when I'm look there, you're somehow going to peel off, and then I'm going to keep the puck, skate, and then I'm going to pass to that same person that I was just looking at.
That is frustrating.
Yeah.
You had Zubov. He was your teammate in 94.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was, Belle, he describes him perfectly. He was an unbelievable talent, looking people off and could shoot it and liked to smoke.
He was on the dart.
In the showers? Yeah.
That 94, okay, so just because with the news of last week of OJ's passing, the parade happened the same day as the car chase. Did you guys hear anything about what was going on with OJ and the car chase during the parade? Like, did it get to you guys and all that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody was watching that. I mean, that was an amazing story. But it didn't disrupt our enjoyment of the parade.
But it didn't get there for you guys. Like you guys were able to. It didn't get fully to you guys or anything.
No. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
People are sitting 50 floors up with their feet hanging over the windows, and I mean, it was crazy. Ticker tape parade. And, yeah, it was.
There's no parades like that in a lot of other places.
Well, there's no places like that.
Exactly. Like you get to New York, that you win there, it's something else.
Mac, when you go back to New York, do people still recognize you from that team? I remember,
once in a while. Like, there are so many avid Ranger fans.
Yeah,
like people, I hear stories over and over again that I was at that game with my father, and like it was. I mean, the Rangers hadn't won the Cup since 1940.
Right.
So it was 54 years later, and I mean, the Ranger fans are real diehard fans. There was a documentary I watched. That was done really well about the Rangers that year. And it was from the perspective of a lifelong Ranger fan, and, just the passion that he had, and the ups and downs, emotional mood swings that the Ranger faithful would have that, the players wouldn't even get to that state.
That is a crazy fan base. That is a Rangers town. Like, I feel bad for the Devils and Islanders, because when we would go out there, when I traveled with the team and you guys, like, I didn't get to see you interacting, because we'd always be on the bus and then right to the rink, and you go up the ramp and not really seeing interaction, or there wasn't a lot of that. But you wouldn't, like, I didn't think of that area and go, oh yeah, New Jersey Devils are right across the river, or oh yeah, that's Islanders territory. Like, it was all Rangers. It felt like. I feel bad for those two other franchises in the area.
Yeah. I mean, the rivalry is there for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go to New Jersey and the Island, you're right though. There's a lot of Ranger fans that go to those games. It's like the Habs and the Leafs here in Edmonton. It's Ranger territory, but Rangers, they won the President's Cup this year.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see. And they play Washington in the first round.
Yeah.
That'll be, I think that's probably a pretty good matchup for the Rangers, but that Lindgren's played really well in the net for them. A bit unlucky to see the goal last night that went way up in the air.
Yes, it did.
Called out. He sent it to me. He's like, NHL refs.
But
Tortorella was probably losing his mind because of that.
Yeah.
Tough goal.
I have no remorse for
I know.
What'd you think of the goalie pull?
That was pretty early.
3 minutes.
Well, I understood why he did it.
Yeah.
But you got to have somebody up top, eye in the sky, having that game right in front of you so that you know what the situation is. I think they mismanaged it, is what I think.
Yeah.
You're talking about what's happening with Detroit and all that?
Yeah. Well, that was crazy. 3 seconds left.
But does it matter?
Well,
they needed to win.
They needed to win.
Yeah.
But
in regulation.
You still got to know what's going on in that. And if you don't, then that's mismanagement.
Yeah. I think for me, they had to win the game or they were done. And that was their mandate. But 3 minutes, I don't know. I think that's, the tendency now is to pull the goalie really early.
Yeah.
But I think it's not a one strategy fits all teams either.
Yeah.
Like for me, Philly doesn't have the dominance of the Edmonton Oilers where you can
the extra man is such, it's almost like a guarantee.
Predict their puck management. They have guys that they have to put out there that are vulnerable to turn the puck over.
Yeah.
And to me, that mandates that you don't pull the goalie quite as early. And maybe, a minute and a half or maybe 2 minutes, but 3 minutes, they were still getting a few chances too later in the game.
Because even if you have eyes on the other game and you find out that the result happens that does, well, maybe drag it to overtime and then try to do it there. right? Like, so we talk about pulling the goaltender.
But they didn't
so,
win in regulation, and if they didn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
so then
It doesn't matter at all.
Just going to win it.
But then it doesn't matter at all.
If Washington
So
got
like
a
Matthew
point,
says,
Philly
minute.
was done.
Do it in a minute left,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
at least now you're giving yourself a better opportunity. Because now
Yeah.
it's just like 3 minutes is a gimme. You're going to score.
Yeah, yeah, or yeah. I agree. I thought it was too early, but I mean, I remember Andy Murray. Back when I was coaching, he was the first guy that really would pull the goalie early if we were up by a couple goals, and I remember hating it.
Yep.
You know, when he pulled them, because it was. I mean, they were pretty talented, but I mean, I think he got a. And then the Oilers pulled the goalie the other night, and they've just shot it right in the net. Like, there's probably not a lot of discussion between Dustin Schwartz and maybe there is about the responsibility on the goalie when he gets pulled. I mean, you still, I think, in my mind, you have to have an eye on the play.
Yeah.
And but a lot of guys, they just sprint as fast as they can to the bench, and. I mean, that was unfortunate, but I mean that's a good lesson because that situation obviously will occur again in the playoffs, and maybe they handle it a bit better.
Yeah, that was a weird one because Perry took it into the zone and then like stopped on the wall and kind of tried to take a shot.
Yeah,
it got
he tried
steered
a
to the
slap
corner.
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it kind of got blocked, steered to the corner, and it was just a regroup, and
The goalie
Stu
was gone
Yeah.
at that. He
Too
could have
easy.
maybe recovered and got back to the net. But,
Yeah.
I mean, pulling the goalie is an inexact science, but there is a strategy behind it.
So
for
then
sure.
with that being said, teams are now starting to pull their goaltender in 3-on-3. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's out of necessity, playoff races and stuff like that you have to. I mean, you never do it unless you absolutely had to win the game. If the team that you're chasing is ahead of you by 5 points and you have to get 2 points, and then I can see it. I mean, who did it? Philly did it, right? Was it Philly?
Mini did it twice.
Mini did it.
It worked for Mini once, and then they got scored
Yeah,
on.
they were
The first
so
teams that I saw do it were actually in the KHL. I think it was UFA, and then I think Magnitogorsk followed it and won both games. And then the next week I saw it happen with Minnesota, and they won.
Yeah.
And then they tried it again, and then they lost.
Yeah.
So it's interesting thoughts on it.
Yeah,
right?
if
Like,
you're
it's-
so far behind, you have to win, and you have to get 2 points. Then I can see it happening. But other than that, you would never do it.
You guys scored that when that rule was introduced were the first team to score and take away the point from, I think it was Vancouver. Do you remember that? I think it was
They pulled the goalie?
Yeah, it was like 05 or 06.
Yeah, I can't. And
They pulled because I think they were in a playoff chase, and you guys scored into the empty net, and it took away their point.
the point.
Yeah.
I kind of remember it, but I don't have a vivid memory of it.
Yeah, I remember them talking about it on the broadcast. I'm like, oh, they just lost their point. How? And it was one of those quirks of the new format coming out of the lockout. So I think you guys were the first to make that happen. Rarity.
Yeah.
Rare.
Yeah.
This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. There's always someone looking to ride their next wave. They're here for the ones who make their own White Claw. The difference is clear. Tom Gazzola, Craig MacTavish, Iwanyk, Shawn Belle with you here on Edmonton Sports Talk, on iHeartRadio, tune in, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, as well as on YouTube. Let's just quickly get this done. It's the EST Flyaway keyword. We want to send you to Las Vegas, 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets to Cirque, presented by our partners in Vegas, the LVCVA, as well as our partners here in Edmonton. Flyaway, the Edmonton International Airport. Nonstop flights to over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from Flyaway. Visit flywayg.com for more information. Get your phone out. Get ready to text 780-218-9999. The keyword today is luck. Luck, Luck. Text it to 780-218-9999, and you will go into the draw. Zacticum or Trev will give. I think Zacticum will give someone a call in the next 5 minutes. We'll talk with you on the air, and you'll go into the draw, which takes place next Friday on the morning show, as we'll give away this bad boy to Vegas. So not many more qualifying opportunities left. Hello Hockey's only got one more. We qualify up until next Thursday, and then, like I said, giving away next Friday. Luck, 780-218-9999.
And it begins.
The inbox is just flooding right
Look
now.
Look at that thing.
Hey,
Today's keyword was morning show I really liked.
What was it?
Rewards. And then they were talking about your rewards and how you're on the hunt for your Jello shots.
Well, I thought
Lieutenant
I had
Eric
it loaded up. You have to get it, you buy it, and then you get it activated on the card. And I hadn't done it on the card. And Eric, I was like, Eric, you want a Jello shot?
It took like a half hour to get that Jello shot.
Yeah, so
I'll just say that.
That thing is.
We went.
It's the text line. Yeah, it just goes crazy.
So that one.
Everybody loves a freebie.
Don't they?
It's a good freebie, too.
Who wouldn't love a free trip to Vegas?
Yeah.
Can I?
So you can text in. Feel free.
He's ineligible.
Why?
He's not an official member of EST employment. So based on rules and regs, he's allowed technically.
Okay.
I would say so.
218-9999.
Look, this guy knows the phone number already. He's perfect.
Let's
so there you
go.
go. You text that in, and if Zacticum happens to call you, I'll be
Oh
stunned.
man, that'd be amazing.
Sean here.
We'll call the next person on that
Hello.
one. Not going to lie. So yeah, just a couple more minutes. Lock to 780-218-9999. This just coming from the National Hockey League. Marc-Andre Fleury signing a one-year deal with the Wild, returning for his 21st season in the National Hockey League.
Good for him.
Yeah,
I like
good.
him.
Yeah, he's a great. I don't know him, but you hear unbelievable things about him, and he just has a passion for hockey. It's good. That's good to see.
Him and Price Mac are like the last great Canadian goaltenders. Where do you think we're at with our next wave of national goalies?
Well, I mean, Stu has fought himself into the mix. I mean, the playoff run will go a long way to determining that. But I mean, it's doesn't seem to be a complete a real depth position.
Yeah.
For Canada. But Hill, I mean, he won a cup, so he's a guy that's definitely in the mix. Who do you like?
Binning, I don't know.
We talked to Jim Nill on last Saturday.
Yeah, we had Jim
and
Nill
he
on our
mentioned
show.
Skinner, obviously Hill. I think
Binnington.
I think they're the top two.
Yeah.
Binnington was in the mix.
Yeah, Bennington.
And
I would say
Montembeault.
Bennington's a very good goalie.
Yeah.
I would say he's in that mix for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe at the top of that.
When he doesn't want to get in a fight.
Yeah. He was actually trying to
run around and be an idiot.
But yeah, the other one that I was surprised.
He's a real sharp guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I liked him a lot. And I mean, there's a snapping point. I mean, the Blues, when I was there, it was a tough year.
Right.
For the Blues, and people used to, and he's a super competitive guy, and we could have used more of that throughout the lineup, and we didn't need him doing it, but nobody was really doing it.
Right.
And guys were taking liberties and flying through his crease.
Yeah.
And eventually he just snapped. I mean, it wasn't that popular with the organization, but I really didn't mind it, and I found him to be a real sharp guy. And I mean, I think it's a misperception on him that he's a hothead and he's a loose cannon, because he did it at the appropriate times in my mind.
Well, you had him. Yeah, you had him last year. You went back in as assistant. How was that year? Obviously, the success on the ice wasn't there. The changing and of the guard, and guys are being traded, and it seemed like the 2019 legacy kind of dissipated. What was that year?
Tough year.
Yeah,
really tough year. High expectations and low performance, and when that gap gets big, it's no fun for anybody.
Oh man!
And It was harder for me to go back and be an assistant than I thought it would be. It took me a long time to gain credibility with the players. Like you have an old school perception,
right?
And with the younger players, and it took a while to try and be able to build the bonds of trust where you can pass on information that's readily accepted. And, you really, I'm used to kind of having more control. So it was difficult for me to try and figure out where I could try and influence the players and the organization.
Was it easy for you to slide in when Nelly took over? But remember, there was that like 6 or 7 game window where you were the coach and Todd was kind of just getting his feet wet. That was an interesting time. I remember that. And I'm like, holy crap, MacT's coaching this team again.
It was great
but
to
Todd's
see.
right there. Was that like more of a natural kind of
I enjoyed
transition?
that. Yeah, I liked it. But I just transitioned Todd into it.
Yeah.
And I thought it made sense at the time. And Todd did a great job. He won the American League again last year. He's just a bad interview.
But he's such a good guy.
And he gets a lot out of the players.
Yeah.
And players like to play for him. And he doesn't complicate things with a bunch of head games and stuff like that. And he's very clear in his messaging. And, the worst mistake you can make in coaching, I think, is to overcomplicate a simple message. And there's a lot of coaches, I think, that the delivery of the presentation is more important than the absorption of the presentation. The coach wants to be articulate, and but you have to. Billy Moores was a fantastic educator, teacher, and coach, and most ex-teachers. George Kingston was a teacher, but it's about the absorption of the message and the comprehension of the message rather than the brilliant coach speak and how quick you can deliver your message. It's simple. Simple is it works best, I think.
Yeah, Nelly was. You had Nelly in Oak
awesome.
City.
Yep, I really enjoyed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was simple, to the point, didn't overcomplicate things, just like you said, and was a legitimate players coach. Legitimate players coach. Yeah, he was. Not a bad thing I could say about that guy.
And the team executed.
Yeah,
we were good.
You go down there. I'd be up here watching our guys, and you go down there, and everybody was in the right spots, and good coordination, and they connected on defense, and which is really important. And when he came up here, he did well.
Yeah. The best line I heard was, I'm not saying who said it, but it was the day, because we were flying to Phoenix that day when you finally decided to move on from Dallas. It was Justin Schultz. I think he had a big shit-eating grin that day, and someone's like, "You did cartwheels all the way from Rexall Place to the airport, didn't you?"
Oh boy,
he liked that comment.
Yeah,
but Nelly helped breed that ease into guys like that, I thought, for the rest of that season.
Yeah, Schultz, he was. He led the American League in scoring that year during the lockout, ahead of Ebbs and those guys. I thought this guy was going to be Norris Trophy winner.
Yeah.
Because who does that? Nobody does that.
Nope.
You recruited him too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
We did that was heavily competed.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting him, and it was a huge coup for the organization at the time to be able to land him, and he looked like he was going to be a Norris Trophy winner. But, his weakness was he was a poor defender.
Right.
And our team was so bad that we were defending the whole time. So he was,
Would have he excelled with this Oiler team? If this is the time, this would have been the time he'd have to come to the Oilers?
Yeah. He would have been like Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Evans got a better shot and a bit better passing skill and sees the ice better. But Schultz would have had great success with this team, I think. And I always use the example of who was a defenseman that was in Toronto and then went to Detroit. Older defenseman, has a lot of records, right-handed shot.
Larry Murphy?
Larry Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
When he was in Toronto, I mean, he was, when Toronto was bad, he couldn't play. And, I mean, he was terrible for the same reason, because he was defending the whole time. Then he got traded to Detroit. He was an all-star, won 3 cups.
Right.
2 or 3 cups. And, he just, the power of the team is important. When you're on a good team, it hides weakness.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, when you're on a bad team, every weakness that you have is fully exposed, but team strength hides the weakness. And Detroit was so strong that all the mistakes went away with Larry Murphy. And, I mean, I remember Jason Smith here was struggling. Pronger came in and said, give him to me.
Really?
Yeah. And so I go, okay, yeah. And Jason had a lot of great qualities. He was a warrior. He was tough, block all kinds of shots, and I loved him. He was the captain of the team.
Yeah.
And when I put him with Pronger, the mistakes just went away. Pronger had the puck and would draw all the opposition, pass it over to Jason right on the tape. Jason would, have time and space and be able to execute a play. And he's a great, Pronger was a hell of a player, but so was Jason, but they complemented each other well.
Yeah. No, Jason Smith, that was a scary pairing if you were going down against them. 2 giants that were mean. Beat the shit out of you.
I'll just quickly, we've got our qualifier for the EST Flyaway, so I'll get them on the air, and then we can continue our conversation. This is the EST Hangout. Zach, who do we got on the air for the EST Flyaway today? Andrew, congratulations. You are into the mix for the draw to Vegas. Have you ever been to Vegas before?
Yes.
Yeah, how long ago has it been since you've been in Vegas? And what's your favorite thing to do when you're in Vegas?
It's been a couple of years, and hopefully if I win, I hit up some strip clubs and have a good time.
Awesome. And if you win, who are you taking with you? I'm intrigued by this answer.
Probably one of my boys. We'll see how it goes.
Sounds good. Well, Andrew, you're in the draw. Keep your phone on. April 26th for the grand prize draw on the morning show. If you're the winner, the boys will give you a call, let you know they're off to Vegas.
All right, thank you.
Best of luck. And your next chance to qualify during the lock shot. Plus, we'll give away the keyword. I will speak to somebody on the air, and then Tommy and I will have another keyword today on the Oil Stream. Also, Oil Stream pregame show.
6:30?
6:30 tonight here on Edmonton Sports Talk. He wants to go. He likes the strip clubs in Vegas.
Well, they are pretty good.
We've had a lot of people say they take their significant other or something, and I was intrigued. He would take one of his boys. I don't. So that's what we've got.
Don't go up to the Skybox unless you're willing to pay a lot of money at those places.
Norman at Combine in the nasty chat. That's a boy, Andrew. Instant nasty. So right there when it comes. Matt Iwanyk, Craig MacTavish, Tom Gazzola, Shawn Belle having a coughing fit outside the studio.
Yeah, I hope he's okay.
Needed to go get water, and he'll be back shortly here on the EST Hangout. Let's get to Hangout headlines, which is brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club. Premier conditions, top-notch service, unmatched value, the home of the EST Classic. Great choice for your golf rounds this season. Book your tee time by visiting theranchgolf.com. You okay, Shawn?
I don't know. Man. Just in shambles right now.
Right. Late. I mean, this coughing fit.
What is going on?
Oilers, 2 games left. Player, coach, GM, you've been a player. What are these days like when there's nothing really to play for?
They're just waiting for the playoffs to start. I'd be surprised if they don't rest a lot of guys for the last couple games. Ekholm, I think, could use a break. I mean, he's played great. I don't see any reason Connor plays, but maybe he wants to play tonight. But I would think for sure that he doesn't play, or Leon doesn't play in Colorado. It's a good opportunity to give some other guys some ice time. Broberg will obviously play the last 2 games, I would imagine. And, it didn't look like Connor suffered from a 3-game layoff when he blew by that guy in the first 10 seconds of his first shift. So I think he'll be fine, and just make sure everybody's rested. I hope that the playoffs start Monday rather than Sunday. I think Sunday's a quick turnaround for the team and the coaches to prepare. They're coming back from Colorado Friday. I think if they start Monday, they can take Friday off. If they start Sunday, they'll probably come in and start the preparation for, I'm thinking it's going to be Vegas, but I might be wrong, and start the preparation Friday night. If they play Sunday, then come to the rink Saturday, continue that, have a nice tightener and a little morning skate, and they'll be ready to go. But it'd be nice to see them be able to take Friday off and then start that process Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that they're healthy, right? Like last year, they battled some health. There's lots of injuries, and you could see it in their performance as the series went on against Vegas, because Vegas is such a big, heavy team that they wear on you. And if you're already banged up going into that season or into that series, you're behind the eight ball. So it'll be good to get them rested. Obviously, we both know, or we all know, that Broberg is going to play. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. And I actually kind of look forward to that matchup against Vegas if they can.
I don't mind it.
And so if Vegas, they got the Blackhawks, or they get the Ducks, I think it is.
Yeah.
And the Kings get the Blackhawks.
Like, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen.
It should.
Yeah.
Unless the Golden Knights just don't care and rest their own guys for that game, because they don't care where they're heading to. But then it'll be Vegas Oilers first round. And the rematch of last year.
If Mark Stone shows up first day,
so how quickly
the Oiler fans are going to lose it.
But how quickly is he going to be able to?
Rightfully so. I mean, that to me is really becoming a problem. And whether it's cheating or timing or coincidence, it's a gigantic competitive advantage to be able to dress a lineup that has a $12 million overage in the cap. And I don't think it's right for the fans, our fans. I mean, it's, like Mark Stone is a reputable guy for sure, and I don't question the validity of the injury. But even if it's a coincidence, why can't you, as Kenny Holland has said many times, you can't dress a lineup you can have a lineup available for whatever you want, 95 million, 97 million, but you can't dress that lineup that's cap compliant. In the playoffs, you have to be whatever lineup. If Stone's in it, somebody's got to come out, and so they're cap compliant. And I think that's fair. And I mean, Tampa did the same thing. You guys all remember that.
Yep.
Kucherov shows up to the post-game Stanley Cup press conference with a T-shirt that rubs the face. What did it say? 10 million over or something.
Yeah.
It called full attention to it.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and that's embarrassing to the league. And I mean, to me, it's just your fans pay good money. You should have an equal ability to compete. And I really think it's a problem right now. It's a big problem, and it's too bad it's gone on this long.
But when the Golden Knights were here, Mac, obviously I was talking to Lawless and a few others from their organization. They see nothing wrong with it, conveniently. But the other thing that came out of this, and talked to other people, peers in the media world, and they go, well, every team can do it, so go ahead and try. And it sounds like that there doesn't seem to be a desire to change it from the other teams around the league.
What's that statement mean?
It's really not good.
Does that mean that everybody can cheat it? Or I mean, you can do it if you get the right circumstances. But I mean, I think the integrity of the people in this game is too high that you don't want to, manufacture those circumstances, because if the league ever finds out that you're cheating, I mean, we can suspect it all we want, and regardless, I don't care about the cheating. It's just it shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be able to dress that lineup. But now you're forcing people and managers to to consider cheating,
Basically.
just to keep up, just to level the competitive disadvantage that you have. And to me, when managers are thinking that way, there's a problem. And you almost have to think that way, otherwise you look foolish.
Yep.
When Vegas comes in, and I mean, to me, it's such an easy fix that obviously the PA doesn't mind the cap them playing with a $97 million. But I've heard as well that Vegas has paid out $110 million in salary this year. They've got Robin Lehner.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, apparently he can't play anymore.
Yeah.
And they're paying. That's, to me, I feel bad for the players not on Las Vegas that have to compete in an unlevel playing field.
Okay, so we're going to see an unlevel playing field here next week. If you're the Oilers and you do get the Golden Knights, like, how do you strategize against them? Because, like you said, if Stone comes back, that just elevates the rest of the lineup.
But he's got to get his legs under him still. How long does that take?
I
right?
know,
Like this
but
team,
factor that
the
in.
Golden
Yeah,
Knights
but
have
that
not looked strong as of late right now.
He wasn't like that. Same thing last year. He came out and he was 100%. So like, there's enough. There's enough right now behind the scenes with strength and conditioning, the way that they do things. You get on the ice, you get skated by the strength and conditioning coach. Like, you are game ready by the time you step foot on that ice.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So it wouldn't matter.
But Hurdle hasn't looked great as of yet, and Hill hasn't been there yet.
Let's look back to when Tampa won the Stanley Cup. Do you remember who the Conn Smythe winner was?
Which year are we talking about? The first or the second? We're not going back to 04, but like...
No, you're talking
20
about
or
the most
21.
recent one.
Yeah.
The most
Kucherov.
Yeah.
And he missed the whole year.
And he was game ready.
He was.
Like,
50
there was
years.
no
They also
game.
got a really good advantage, too, because if that's an 82-game season, I don't think they get away with that. It was a 56-game season. So it's
But he had a year.
I know, but like
basically
that was...
But
I don't know if they would have been
level-
able to have done that with
level of
Kucherov
player-
if it was an 82-game, because I don't think they could have held him for another 20 games.
To be the best player in the playoffs, like, I'd understand your point if it was he came back, he was average, he figured his way through it, he got a couple points here there. He was the best in the playoffs. Like, that, the level that you have to get to for playoff hockey is one thing. To be the best in playoff hockey, that's a whole nother conversation. And so the fact that he missed an entire year, put his skates on and said, okay, I'm the best guy here, like, that's crazy to me. But that lends itself to the fact that you're doing so much behind the scenes that there is no, I got to feel my way into it. You're already game ready. Like, you watch these guys when they come out and they're injured and they have to go back, whether that's through conditioning stints, whether that's the fact that they're getting skated before practice even starts, then they're getting into practice. So if it's a hour and a half practice, like, you might actually be skating for 2 hours. So, like, you're really getting back into it quickly. So it's, I don't see that rust coming off. And I didn't see it last year with Stone either. Like, he stepped right back into it and guys were taking shots at his back. They were doing all sorts of things to him. And it was good.
He's also a giant.
It's just this.
Yeah.
That level of player, I mean, he's going to be fine. I remember when I played, Messier was out, and we won the first game like 5-0, and then he was out for the next 10 games too. We lost every game, and we were in Montreal, and Slats called him. He was in Edmonton, hadn't practiced, and said, we need you to play tonight. So he flew all the way to Montreal for the game against the Canadiens, and we won the game. He had a couple goals. He was the first star of the game. I mean, those guys are, they're just at a different level.
Yep.
And Stone, to me, he's the straw that stirs that drink in Vegas. When they were here, Peter Angelo was out too.
Yeah.
It's tough. The leadership group was out. They looked, directionless. And when Stone gets in there, they'll be dialed back up and they'll be formidable.
So how do you go after them if you're the Oilers?
Well, what are the lessons that he learned from the last series where we got eliminated last year?
Bad penalties.
Bad penalties for sure.
Couldn't hold on to a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mistakes at inopportune times, right?
Yeah. We have more depth. We're a better team. We have more experience. Perry is going to make a significant contribution to the overall mentality of the team. And because he's been there, he's got the pedigree, he's been the MVP of the league, he's going to have influence over everybody in that room, including Connor and Leon, and he's a winner.
Yep.
And he's going to have and he's going to go after Stone, I would guess.
I like how you're laughing about that,
yeah,
but I enjoy that too.
Because that's the gamesmanship that you need in the playoffs. You have to have toughness.
Yeah.
And nobody likes to do it, but nobody likes to lose either, and especially Corey Perry. I would imagine that he goes after him pretty good. And, they're in the same weight category, and, Stone will probably be tough to draw into that, but Perry will be pretty relentless, and he'll have a big impact, I think.
How does Evander Kane fit into all this? If you had him and you were running the bench, how do you get his ass in gear, kind of thing?
Well, he's going to be a big factor, because he's going to be. You just hope he can walk the line without taking penalties. Yep. And the thing is, he going to be good? Yeah, I believe he's going to be really good, because that's his brand of hockey, and he's going to wanna. Everybody wants, especially a guy like Evander, everybody wants to be known as a winner and a leader, and he's going to want to lead. And when Connor was out for the 3 games, he stepped up his game. He was really good in the 3 games that Connor was out. And can you play that brand of hockey for 82 games where you play a reckless, physical, hard, in-your-face game? It's hard to do, but he's going to be playing it for sure, and is going to be a valuable member of the team for sure. You just hope that he doesn't take the penalties,
right?
And I don't think he will, because I'm sure Corey Perry, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, Glenn Gullickson, Chris Knobloch, and everybody suddenly had that conversation with him. But you want him on the edge, but you don't want him over the edge. And he still, he had a good year. He had, 22 goals?
Yeah, 23, yep. I think he's at right now,
he took, there was a lot of white noise around him there for a while, but again, I think Perry did a good job in communicating to him what needs to be done. And those conversations happen all the time. He was wrecked. You don't want to play with guys that turn the puck over,
right?
And especially Corey Perry. Do you think he wants to skate 200 feet and go back to the defensive zone and then skate another 200 feet? No way. Yeah. He wants those, and he's so good at it. He keeps the play alive. And Evander, was careless with the puck at times, and it's a 400-foot mistake.
Yeah.
And I thought the last few games, Evander was making more plays. You just can't turn the puck over.
And I think that's part of the way that you beat Vegas, right? Like if you have those careless plays where they're able to now use that transition and get on the forecheck and get on the offense, they become really good that way. But if you're able to just continue to cycle that puck, keep it down low, like you're going to give yourself a better opportunity to win that game, because when you look at the depth chart, your high-end skill is better than their high-end skill. But it's those little factors like where, now you allow that fourth line, that third line that they have to become factors in the game, in the series. Well, then that probably swings it in Vegas's direction. But if you can, force them to play in the defensive zone, well, you might be looking pretty at the end of the day because of the fact that you've limited the mistakes. You don't allow them to use that transition. You don't allow them to get on the forecheck as much as they would like to. That's how you play against Vegas.
Yeah, they had that big. You're right. The depth is. They had Roy, Carrier, and Colzar.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys. They're not turning the puck over very
they're
often.
not.
No.
They had a couple of great nights against Dallas in that third round last year, where they took over the game.
Exactly. And those are the guys that you don't want them to get going. And what do they love to do is like, well, they prey on turnovers. They want to forecheck you. They want to hit you so that by game 4, the defensemen are sitting there saying, okay, well, I don't want to go back for this puck because my lips are going to touch the glass again. And because that's a factor. Like, guys hate that. When you get hit over and over and over again, like, doesn't matter if it was back in his era, my era, the new era, it matters. And it's just all kind of here's a deposit, here's another deposit, and that's how those guys get life.
Do you like this era of hockey right now that we're in?
I like a little bit more violent game, but I mean, there's plenty to like about the game. I mean, but I still like the altercations and the tough, hard brand. I mean, the first round I like that brand of hockey. It's always just rip the cover off. I mean,
everyone goes at it.
Everybody goes at it. And then you wear down a little bit and a little bit more as the playoffs progress. But the first round is going to be
and the West
fantastic.
is so strong. Who's everyone's favorite right now in the West? Like, is it the Oilers or is it the Stars? Who's the team that you look at right now that has to be viewed as? Because it's. I'll take the Kings out of this. Just I don't think they could get through this West.
Preds,
but the Preds maybe
I take them out.
So but I think you can make the case for the other 6.
Yeah, I do. I agree.
So who would be the team though that goes?
The team I would least like to play right now would be Dallas.
Yeah.
If I was Edmonton.
Well, we had this conversation when the Oilers were playing Dallas. What is the hole Dallas has right now?
Yeah, I don't think they have one.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to figure that out too.
They have youth, they have energy, they have goaltending, they have unbelievable defense. They picked up Tanev, who's never going to make a mental mistake, never. And they've got offense. I mean, they're going to be a tough out in 7 games. Can the Oilers beat them? For sure, they can. But they're going to have to play at a level they haven't been at yet.
Yep. Has there been any word on Landeskog?
I remember talking to an Avs reporter a while ago, and it's like what I was told was
100% not playing.
It doesn't look likely this year.
Okay, because that would be the only thing I would say. If he's coming back to Colorado, that's kind of a wild card team now. Like, that's a dark horse candidate. Do I think they're good enough right now to challenge Dallas? Not necessarily, but they still have the horses. I just think in a 7-game series, like, Dallas is just too deep.
I just love Cale Makar, though.
Yeah, Colorado's got the horses. Like, Makar, difference maker. McKinnon, difference maker.
If you played Colorado, do you just hit them every opportunity you get? Him and Taves, Makar and Taves?
You have to. You have to try. Good luck.
I know there's
good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to try.
Yeah.
If you get a chance to finish on them, you got to.
Yeah. Without losing your kneecaps. Yeah. You try to go hit Makar, he's going to put that thing through your legs, dance around you, and you got to try to somehow figure out not bail into the wall. He is hard. He's slippery.
Yeah.
He's slippery.
Yeah. This is one, because we have the pregame show at 6:30 tonight. Myself, Matty Cassian, and YouTube Trev.
And just a reminder, tomorrow you're live at Hudson's White.
Watch party.
For the watch party.
Watch party, yes. MacT, end of an era in Arizona tonight against Edmonton. Weird and kind of fitting in a way that it's the old Jets going out against the Oilers. I don't know if it's just the way the universe works, but
till they come back.
I don't think they're coming back. Like, what do you make of this?
5-year window.
I think this is all just to get Morello to let the league take the team away from him. But what do you make of this Arizona experience? I mean, your last year was their first year in the NHL as a player, and then obviously you coached against them for years and years and years, and here we are.
Every player or coach or trainer, they love to go to Phoenix.
I love it.
Like it
was a nice spot on the schedule.
We all wanted it to work. Yep. But it became a bit of an embarrassment for the league. I mean, and the team is starting to come. I mean, they've got some talent. They've got a bunch of draft choices. I mean, they're small and they're talented. They've got to augment that with some size. Otherwise, you can't win. As Belsey talked about in the playoffs, it's a tough game.
Yeah.
You got to win the battles. But, I mean, I'm sorry to see them go, but I certainly appreciate the time that Bettman gave them to sort their issues out. But it was that time was up.
Almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Almost 30 years. I love.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I mean, I love
incredible.
going down there. We had a family home down there. It's my home away from home. But like, we go to those games, Mac. I don't know what it was like at the old building downtown, but we'd go to those games. It'd be like 8,000 people, and 90% of them were Oiler fans.
Yeah, there'd be. I mean, a lot of times it'd be a good crowd there.
Yeah.
I remember going down there socially and playing some golf, and the Oilers or the Flames were playing Arizona that night in Glendale.
Yeah.
And I'm going, we're going to the game. We'll go watch the game. I went up to the ticket counter, and sorry, we're sold out.
All Alberta,
yeah,
right?
Alberta. If they played Edmonton and Calgary all the time, they would have stayed there. But it was, it was all kind of a weird era there.
Yeah.
But they never really got to the level where people really wanted to go see them because they just didn't have that level of success.
Never won. Yeah.
That's the thing. I wish we could have seen that there. It's the same with Columbus. Like, I'd like to see what Columbus could eventually become if the Blue Jackets could be consistently good for a 3-4 year period.
But that market's good. People are always there at those games.
But it's like, how much better could it potentially be if they actually had a winning product?
True.
Because Columbus really hasn't had anything in this time.
Yeah, it'd be wild there. They're winning a bit now.
Well,
Columbus.
yes. Too little, too late. But yeah, my goodness.
Wrong time for all of that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it feels a lot better for their management and stuff like that, whatever that's going to be going forward.
No kidding.
I just do want to throw this out there. This is coming from basketball. Toronto Raptors forward Jonte Porter receives a lifetime ban from the NBA for violating league gambling regulations. Wow. This comes in relation to a story that came out a couple weeks ago where there was 2 games of his player props that there was some weird action on, and he came in under the under, and he left the game with some sort of injuries. He gets the full lifetime ban.
Jeez.
I'll say 2 parts to this with this. One, get used to seeing this more. I think now that gambling is becoming more prevalent and welcomed by all these leagues. And 2, also, it's better this way too because we're able to find these things. We're able to, like, if everything's done through your bookie on the side, it'd be hard to regulate this or follow this if you're a league. The fact that they actually in with these companies, they could see these betting irregularities and spot them and go, okay, that's not right, and then deal with it. So, but Jonte Porter receiving a lifetime ban from the NBA that coming today.
That just dropped.
Yeah, last 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
So
I was curious as to what was going to happen with that situation. That's brutal.
I don't think you can do anything else. If you are betting on yourself in a game and you're betting on your under,
hopefully he bet a lot. He walked away from a lot of money.
Yes,
but
because he was just starting to make his way with the Raptors.
He's only 24. He appeared in 37 career games over 2 seasons. His brother plays for Denver.
Yeah,
we're going to lose to the Lakers right away in the best of 7 series. Are you a Laker guy?
On and off.
Oh, okay. We are going to take down the Nuggets. You like that?
Him and your weed. What number do you wear again,
but
Matty?
Michael Porter, he's going to be relying on his brother to pay for some bills now moving forward, I would say.
Yeah, that one's super disappointing because I am a Raptors fan, so I try to pay attention to them. And they signed him before they made the trade for Iwanyk, and he started to come in and he was actually doing well, right? Like they needed a big that could be a protector of the rim because Koloko was out. He was doing a good job and he was starting to really build upon it. And then all of a sudden it's like, he's out of lineup. Why? Well, here it is. Tough. Very, very tough.
There's no other way.
Yeah.
It's just, if you're going to bet on your sport, especially, and then if you're going to bet on yourself and the under and you're going to pull yourself from a game, you got to go. You can't play anymore.
Yep.
And like I said, though, I think we'll be able to spot this more as leagues moving forward. if you're watching these irregularities as before. This probably has happened before, but
there's a documentary called Bad Sport, and they actually talked about in the NCAA tournament this actually happened too.
Yeah, Arizona.
Yeah.
They were shaving, and then the kids were driving new cars and gold chains and Rolexes.
They showed the money too soon.
They showed the money. There was something.
That's the what is it? The Goodfellas, where they're all in the guy has the fur coat for his wife and stuff, and they mean like, "Why I told you not to spend your money." And
yeah. Jeff from GP texted and said Woj tweeted saying Porter told a sports bettor he wouldn't play, and the better bet is his under props, and the guy won 1.2 mil.
Why? Because then the thing is, he went into the game and the under of his 3 points, it was over under a 0.53 3 points made, and he was on the under. He missed them all, and then he left with an injury. So he played all the games. A couple of those props came unders, and then he left because if he doesn't play in those games too, the prop just gets voided,
right?
Or the bet everyone gets their money back because he doesn't play. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he then goes in the lineup and pulls himself out and gets the under, that's where. So he better get a cut from that.
Well, he's not getting.
I think he did make a cut from it.
He'd have to. Otherwise, why would you do that if you're not getting anything?
Because I think he made He made 1.1,
1.2. Yeah.
Crazy.
Man.
To zero.
Yeah.
To zero for.
Yikes! But there goes your career.
Mm-hmm.
Now what do you do? If you're him.
Well, the only way he plays is if he goes overseas.
Right. Well, I guess.
But who's really going to take him overseas now?
There'll be someone taking him overseas. There'll be someone taking him overseas.
League, but
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So that's the only way he's going to do it.
Yikes.
But now you come back over here and your legacy is forever tarnished.
What legacy? There's also that. This is the legacy.
You have a legacy now.
You are the lifetime ban of the NBA.
Yeah. That's your legacy.
Yeah.
Good job.
You are now, without being as high as him, but the Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It's too bad.
Who should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way, Pete Rose?
He
should.
I agree, yeah.
He never bet on his team. I
bet he did.
You think he did? Well,
I bet he never bet against his team.
See, and then that's where I do find, if you're betting for your team,
yeah,
I could accept that because you're still trying to win. You're not messing with the integrity of the game in a sense at that point, unless you're doing the over/under. That's where you're messing with the integrity of the game.
You're walking a fine line.
Yeah.
No, but I know we welcome the steroid people into the Hall of Fame. They've messed with the entire game of baseball. They messed with the integrity of the game of entirely baseball.
Made it better.
Did they?
Yeah.
They made it
because baseball's never been more interesting when Sosa, McGuire, Bonds were hitting absolute missiles that were going for 700 feet, and then all of a sudden it tanked
because
there's no more steroids out there. And guys couldn't destroy the ball.
So you're saying let's just go full steroids,
100%
in baseball. Let's go
100%. Let's bring it back. Let's see if we can rip the hide off the ball when we hit it.
The balls were juiced 2 years ago.
The bats were juiced.
Yeah.
There's baseball. Just let it go. It's fine.
Okay, Belzy.
Then you got to do it all sports.
Yeah.
Football players. Let's let them have the PEDs. Go all out.
What would Eric Lindros do in this era of hockey?
He was dominant. I mean, physically, just he could shoot that puck like it was, like me shooting a marble. He was so strong. I mean, he was an unbelievable player. Should have done more, I think, in my mind. But there's no denying the talent.
Yeah,
injury and kind of forced him out before he could really establish himself as one of the all-time greats. But I mean, the physical package was one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, so that's what you'd have in hockey. So open it up.
Jesus, Belzy. And you're coaching kids.
Too much.
Your team. Oh, man.
No, I still will fight. I'll be the naive one. And I still want my sports to be as clean as possible.
Yeah.
As
But you can't deny that when baseball had those guys
that was
all
6
juiced
o'clock
up,
news.
that was like the best baseball's been. Because that was the biggest story. Like every day, okay, well, Sosa just hit his 66.
Was it the best baseball's been, or is it the most
most exciting? It's
Well,
best
like,
it's
but
been.
we only focused on the home run part of it. But was the game exciting? Was the 9-inning game fully exciting?
100%.
I was a little
Because at every single time I turned that game on, I was expecting at some point somebody's going to launch this ball into outer space. So yeah, I was like captivated. The game was exciting. But then there was a stretch after that all happened where it was just like, oh boy.
because we started getting rid of steroids from baseball, and PEDs,
And then like
and trying to make it more
Kansas
legit.
City Royals were the best team and small ball. Like, get out of here.
I love small ball.
It is good though.
Did you cross paths with a lot of baseball players back in the day, or even when you were coaching?
Not really.
Yeah,
No.
kind of a weird bunch.
Like the Kansas City
I'm not
Royals.
a huge baseball fan.
What are the
You are,
other
Matt?
sports? I love most sports. Baseball's kind of lower on my thing. Football's my favorite sport.
Yeah,
and
football
then
I
hockey.
enjoy.
Love soccer. Love basketball. F1, golf. Throw on a golf and I'm happy.
Yeah, you'll watch the baseball lots. I mean,
That
it's
one-
good to go to a game.
It's great going.
But
baseball.
if you want
to
to
me,
have a nap, it's good to
It's
watch.
perfect.
Yes, that's
yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
what I do every summer.
Yeah.
golf to me is
Yeah.
still the best napping sport.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Golf just goes right because then you can wake up and you catch up on the leaderboard and they really didn't miss much and you can finish the rest of the round.
Sure.
Baseball to me, it's playoffs. That's
Yeah,
when it's at its
playoffs.
best,
Yeah,
where it
for
just
sure.
it matters so much every
There's
pitch.
more drama.
Yes.
They play 182 games. There's not a ton of drama.
Like I'm not gonna. I'm a Yankee fan. They're taking on the Jays, so I could kind of watch them this series because they're on TV. But I'm not looking for them in May to watch on TV. I'll follow on my phone to see what they're doing.
See, he's
but
just
I don't need to
making my
watch that.
point.
But it went.
You're
it wouldn't be
literally
different.
making my point.
Well, there's other things going on. I got the NBA playoffs, got the NHL playoffs going on, and it's spring in Edmonton.
When those guys were juiced,
I want to be, it'd be the
baseball
same
was
spot.
juiced. You take that away, and we're all talking about how it's a napping sport.
I'm talking. I
Until
love
you get
golf,
to the
but
playoffs.
golf is a napping sport to me too, because of the quiet voices, as the announcers
Yeah.
speak,
But,
beautiful settings.
we've never argued
God.
the fact that it was like, you know, Tiger obviously brought electricity to golf where it was must see. Right, so we get where he is, but and guys are still doing that now. Like there's a bit of electricity, there's a bit of a buzz. You go to the Waste Management, it's awesome. You go to live baseball games, that's the only time people legitimately want to say, "Okay, I'm going to a baseball game." When it's live, when you're sitting back and you're watching it on TV, I'm obviously going to get accosted in the group chat in the chat
There's
here.
162 games,
but
though.
like
That's the thing. That's a lot.
I agree, but it's one of those things where it's like, do I want to catch the baseball game today? No, I don't.
That can happen in a hockey or basketball season. 82
Way
games.
less.
Is hockey too long? 82 games of a season?
I think it is. Yeah. I think it'd be better if it was shorter, but it never will be because of the
Gate revenue.
the obvious revenue. You know,
And that's where I always throw this one out there. The soccer model is you build an in-season tournament, and you could lower your regular season for playoffs
well,
down,
the NBA
and then
did
you
it
replace
this year,
Yeah.
didn't they?
But they did it with it was same as regular season. They counted for both.
Yeah.
Whereas if you separate the two, it would completely change the way North American does sports. I don't know how North America still would fully handle this. I think I've convinced
they wouldn't
you.
be able to handle it.
Have I convinced you a little bit on it? Have I
Oh, I
talked?
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
But
I
it's
like it.
very
But
soccer where it's like
what's the problem?
you play
with
60
having the
games
tournament?
of the regular season, and then you play the other games are tournament games.
But what's the problem with having the tournament games count towards your record?
Because then what's the point of having that extra tournament, that trophy
Well,
or
more
something else?
drama.
There's
exactly
that.
what
So
it
there's
does.
championship,
But
more to
then
play for.
The flip side is like the way I guess soccer would look at it is when you have the tournament, either you could go for a great season and win both, where you go all in for them, or if you're like the Oilers this season, you could have went and said, we'll play hard in the 60 games for the regular season. And those other games, we'll maybe play Phil Broberg a little bit more. We'll play Dylan Holloway a bit more and play our youth to see what we can develop with them at an NHL level, because we're focused on the Stanley Cup. And then teams that are closer to the middle of the pack, like maybe the Wild this year or something, are going, I don't know if we're going to win the Stanley Cup this year, but we're going to go all in on the in-season tournament. And they're going to play their full lineups. And there's like
But if they count for both, that takes that out, adds more intrigue, because now it's like you've made these players go hard again, right? Because what's the biggest issue amongst professional sports, maybe outside of football, is that all of our seasons are too long.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's a certain point in the season where guys are kind of like,
but you haven't shrunk it then. That's the thing.
But you add the intrigue to it, right? Because if you add that championship to it, well, then guys are like, well, yeah, I want to win this. Let's go. Right? So now you're taking out the dog days, as they call them. That's usually when you see your worst hockey, your worst baseball, worst basketball, whatever. But now because they have the in-season tournament in basketball, well, all of a sudden teams are going hard again.
Well, they did year one.
What's wrong with a Tuesday night in February when it's minus 30 against Columbus? What's the problem there?
I don't know. You answer that question, Tom.
It's the worst. It's the worst. Columbus is in town. It's Tuesday at minus 30. Great. I hate that.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I know. Being
but you got to win. I mean, you got to. I mean, it came down to the wire. I mean, it was an unbelievable playoff race.
Yep.
This year, you can't deny the parity and the importance of every game.
Yep.
Now, I mean, Philly probably has the most regret and remorse.
Oof.
They kind of, it was great that they made a run to get in. I mean, they exceeded everybody's expectations, but then once they got there, they dropped the ball a bit.
Yeah. We had a texter ask a question for you from the glory days, so I'll let it out. Who was the unsung hero of the Oilers of the 80s, in your opinion, was the text. I can't remember who it was. It was before we threw out the keyword, so that text is lost.
Charlie Huddy.
Hey.
All day long.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Good man.
Maybe the most underrated guy. Definitely the most underrated person I ever played with. I mean, he was good.
Yeah.
And he got no notoriety whatsoever for how good he was. And, I mean, he played with Koff for a lot of years, and Koff's offensive brilliance overshadowed him, but Charlie Huddy was a hell of a defenseman.
Yeah, and he did it wearing the worst helmet ever, Jofa.
Yeah.
Didn't you try to wear a helmet for a bit?
I tried, yeah. One year I wore one.
Yeah.
Had a career year, won a cup, and then took it off. Yeah.
I love it.
That's it for the EST Hangout presented by White Claw for this Wednesday. Craig, it was great having you in, and it was a wonderful couple of hours spent with you here.
Thanks, Matt. Enjoyed it. Belle, always good to see Bellsy.
Yep.
When he was in the seat?
Yeah,
when he was in the seat.
Yeah.
Or
up and down.
in your car.
Tommy.
Always a
Thanks.
pleasure.
Yep.
Yes,
Tommy.
thanks for coming in.
Yes, thanks for coming in too, Sean.
People
Coming
really
up
liked
next, it is the Lock Shop. Huss, I can't remember which boy from Coolbet is going to be on
P.
with
Greggy?
us. Is it P? What was that, Zach? Pat Gregoire will be on with Huss, and then at noon, Tommy and I are back on with the Oil Stream as we'll get you set for Oils Coyotes, and then Oil Stream pregame show later tonight, the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show.
Sir.
6:30 right here in Edmonton, Sports Talk, and then we're back with the Hangout tomorrow. Gager and Hernan Salas with us here on the Hangout
nice.
tomorrow.
Nice.
Another chance to qualify for the EST Flyaway also coming up during the Lock Shop and the Oil Stream on behalf of Tom, MacT, Bellsy, Matt. Thanks for tuning in to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw. Lock Shop starting in just a few minutes right here on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Let's go.
There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here. Joining us today